Hi, groups. Hope you are having a great week, and I look forward to a great group. I want to recap this last Sunday's talk, the goal of parenting. We talked about how oftentimes we don't feel qualified as parents to be parenting our kids, and so we try the shotgun approach, just get them involved in as many good things as possible and hope for good results. But if we're not careful, we can have our kids tie their identity and self-worth with activity and measuring up in their activity. And so they don't develop a strong sense of who they are, and they carry that with them into relationships and try to please people so that they can seem approved or seem accepted or seem like they're doing good, and then they'll belong, then they'll have worth. Or they make wrong decisions in their life because something seems good on the outset. It seems like it'll lead to success, but they don't realize who they are, and so it's really not a good fit for them. And ultimately, they don't have their deep inner spiritual needs met, needs for love and joy and growth and purpose in their life. And they oftentimes it can lead to addictions and trying to medicate the problem that's really underneath. And so we talked about what is the most significant thing we can do as parents. And Jesus said, Jesus, the most significant person in the world, talking from the most significant book ever written, the Bible, and saying the most significant section is to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love others as yourselves. When it all boils down to is it boils down to love. And that we would love because ultimately love is the environment that identity is formed. And as identity is formed, right conduct just begins to follow. I talked about faith, that as God transforms a heart, that we can't transform our children's hearts, that He will transform their hearts through faith, through a firm conviction in their life, coming from a personal surrender, leading to right conduct. And so we said the goal of parenting is to create a relational environment, because love is the environment through which identity is formed, where children can find their identity and self-worth in Jesus. And that they can find it because ultimately we can't control that. We can't make that happen. They ultimately have to find it for themselves because God is the one that will transform their hearts. And so the three ways I talked about we could do that is, one, we can do that through our words and speaking blessings over our kid. And I talked about how God spoke blessing over Jesus at his baptism, and then Jesus was able to use the Bible to speak against the lies of the enemy, trying to get him to prove who he was. I also talked about that it's the ways that we spend time with our children. We spend intentional time with them, but also unstructured time with no goal in mind, that we would have fun with our kids, that we would rest with our kids, that we would take time to teach them values, to teach them life skills, that they could learn how to live and how to get through the difficult times in life. And finally, that they would learn the will of God for their life, that Jesus knew the will of his Father, and so he kept living that out. And so how can we keep living out the will of God in our life? And so it's just speaking purpose over our kids, that God has a plan for you. You can do something greater. And a lot of it's not a whole lot of things that we do, but it's just spending time relating with our kids, letting them know we love them, letting them know God loves them, and seeing that love grow from there. Well, I hope you guys have a great discussion. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to hearing how it all goes. Talk to you next week.